No Tomorrow taking game one in this best of 5 with Team Freedom. It's a long road for both teams, but a little shorter for No Tomorrow getting a victory over Team Freedom's Battleground. And we know that Team Freedom always pick first pick. Knowing that, we should have a Battleground choice for No Tomorrow. And what I don't want to see is Dragonshire.
Why do you not want to see Dragonshire, Gilly?
Let me just pull up their record, 1-7. On Dragonshire, and it has been it is their most picked, but they've changed that lately. They have prioritized Battlefield of Eternity, which is not available a little more lately.
I was really just going to insert something really bad about, like, if you lose enough times, eventually you're going to win, right? So what if going to Dragonshire is you lose every series you pick on Dragonshire, and then you go on the most important match, you pick it, and you know inevitably you got to win 1 out of 10, right?
Sure,
or at least 2.
Yes. Do you take that risk?
I don't know. No, I don't actually.
If we get into the later game, maybe. Team Freedom hasn't played a ton of Dragon, although they have here. But either way, not Dragonshire, at least not yet. No Tomorrow picking Tomb.
Tomb of the Spider Queen. In 2.0, how many maps we got on that? So far, 0. So we are going to be in a whole new world, whole new meta in this series.
Oh, Freedom did not play Tomb yesterday.
No. So we have, even when it comes to draft data, 1 game down, though, for Team Freedom. So obviously, they've got to figure something out. But I feel like Tomb is better. I don't look at that as a Freedom map, but I don't look at it as a No Tomorrow either. So for me, that makes me feel better because, again, I just view No Tomorrow as the upper team here.
Tomb record for Freedom is 2-4, and for No Tomorrow, it's 3-3. So 1 series or 1 game.
Exactly how my weird brain tries to generally view it. Like, yes. Slightly for this team,
very
but
close.
It's not a really good map for them. They just, they kill the minions, they kill the base, they kill each other, and eventually the core. All right, so for the bans, are we going to see a major mix-up?
Yes.
You know what I'm surprised about is the fact that, I guess I'm not surprised because we're only 3 series deep, but we have not moved into a just Malf Uther standard at the top half. I honestly felt that we would see it instantly, where it's just like, first pick team just goes, I'm banning a support, and I'm first picking the other one, and you're just not going to have that,
The shielding meta, but with supports now. Exactly,
but that's always existed, because in the roles of warriors and supports, because generally 2 to 3 are always better, it's better to isolate outside of those, right? It's a little less meta and more of just like, that is just how the game kind of works overall.
Maybe we're not seeing that happen, at least in this series, because if Freedom's the one who would instigate it, Tiger JK just always seems like he's fine with whatever. Yeah. And he never necessarily plays what is the top of the meta for the rest of the region. Like, Malfurion is one of Team Freedom's highest picks. And yes, we see a lot of Malfurion from No Tomorrow, but just as much Karzim and Rhaegar. Yeah,
and that's a really good point you bring up. And there's a lot of other variables that have existed in this meta that haven't in past. For instance, double supporting is a thing. At least it's been talked about. Hasn't been doing too hot here in part, or at least since 2.0. But it is, in fact, an option, whereas historically double support has been a weaker strategy. But the Malfurion first pick for Freedom, do we see the Uther in this rotation for No Tomorrow? Probably not. Again, just because Tiger JK it doesn't afraid. He'll play any support you want to put him on. There's the Gul'dan Johanna.
Thought maybe we would see Greymane again, but Gul'dan instead.
Yeah, I would like to see a Greymane out of Freedom now.
Yeah, both of these teams love and have loved playing Greymane throughout Part 2. Johanna, though, hints that Freedom might be onto something with that Muradin ban.
You are correct. Ooh. So the reason why she says that is because Urho generally has been considered to have a lower hero pool. No Tomorrow started out picking every warrior in the book and wasn't doing too hot with it. But then they were kicking it old school in 2.0. Once things like Arthas came back to the meta and Muradin has kind of risen because of the nerf onto ETC, Urho looked like a different warrior player.
Right. Muradin and Arthas were the primary 2 he would pick between. Yep. And the reason why we're not seeing Arthas here, at least in my mind, is he is 0-6 on Arthas in Part 2 alone.
Yep.
So not having nearly the success that he has with his Muradin.
Turns out Muradin can dwarf toss in 1 versus 4 for like an hour, whereas Arthas, he can't do that without any help.
And the way that those Ancestrals hit, it is obvious that they are far more practiced with Muradin than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, legitimately, that last team fight, Urho single-handedly was 1 versus 4ing the entire time and then just was able to get the pick and it won him the game. And so I'm not surprised to see that ban out either. But Freedom here Oh, with that hover over the Ariel band to rid of the Gul'dan battery strategy, I was like, man, you know, I know Ariel Gul'dan's neat and all, and it is terrifying, especially in a double support, but if only in a solo, I am way more afraid of that Uther. Just having a hard CC from a support and then the AoE armor, especially into the Malfurion we talked about before. Either way, they're going to rid of Tychus.
Focus on Jason somewhat. They've picked up Greymane, banned Tychus. If Jason is playing one of his 3 most played heroes, we would maybe see a Vala here for No Tomorrow.
I think this is going to be a really good question for No Tomorrow when it comes to the world, at least their philosophy on supports. Because they have a weird priority already. We touched upon that a bit, but then the fact that Arya was let through, and I do believe that Uther is kind of a soft counter to Malf right now, just with his level 7 being so ridiculous the amount of armor, and as long as you don't get hit by Twilight Dream, you can give everybody that armor. That makes me feel like this is a nice rotation where it goes, is Gul'dan too big of a problem for Uther because he's only burst healing and, you know, not having that slow overtime heal that typically Gul'dan wants? Is he that big of a problem to where Uther has to be picked here, or do you still see the Ariel, right, into the Malf itself? Because both are available, and they say Ariel. All right, so at least for No Tomorrow, Uther is not nearly as up there, and it's more about the synergy and the composition, especially with that Leoric pick.
To be fair, Ariel does also have some hard CC, and this is a good battleground to pick her on. Not only because she has some wave clear, she combos with Gul'dan, but there are a lot of places where as long as you're positioned right and you know where to be, you can get detainment strikes, and then from that, Johanna can pull somebody in. There's Blessed Shielding, they can hold them down. There's Entomb. Entomb even makes its own place for a detainment strike, so that's nice. You just build your own wall and make Freedom pay for it.
Yep, and make Freedom pay for it. Sounds like a solid plan. Either way here for Freedom.
I'd say 6.5 out of 10.
I'd say, yeah. Freedom, where are they going to go?
I would like to talk about Lunara for a second.
Okay, let's talk about Lunara for a second.
She has been banned twice now. We know both of these teams enjoy playing her. She fell 10% in win rate yesterday. She had one of the highest win rates in Part 2 so far. But that makes me wonder if that's telling of some changes to come now that Uther obviously does not have as much of an issue against her as he's had before. Yeah,
that is a really, really weird back and forth, because that's the one thing that stands out to me, to where I'm suddenly like, I thought originally when looking at Uther and hearing of the changes and playing some of it, I was like, other than like major mana problems, for me, having such a universal tool that everyone can use with that AoE armor is game changing. But the fact, oh gosh, I forgot my point. You had another point. Oh, what
Lunara.
was it? And then there you go. So the Lunara, the fact that he was so successful in the Lunara yesterday makes me feel like, and that would be the biggest one where I'm like, there's a problem here. He's going to struggle. Not once did I look at that and I was like, Uther's getting wrecked. It was like, he's not doing hot, but like, nobody does.
There were moments where the team had to pull back, but then they could surge forward. Cassia, again, this time played by No Tomorrow. But yeah, that, for me, was eye-opening to see Lunara versus Uther yesterday, and I wondered if prioritization of Lunara between these two teams that play her a lot, may be the downfall of either team. But so far, she's just been banned. So they still are scared of her. They view her highly, but not so much so that they have been willing to pick them up for themselves yet, or her up.
What do you feel on this draft? Are you feeling like it's heavy on one direction or the other? Because I'm going to be honest, I've gone through a couple of cycles of review on what I think we can expect. And the more I go through it, the more that one just is like, really heavy. Okay, so No Tomorrow's got this late game.
Heavy as in they've got a lot of weighted,
as in, like
Stitches, Asmodan.
Yeah, like when you throw it on your backpack and try and carry it to the core to win the game, it's usually dragging you down. You know, like not even like Pleb Horse can carry that far.
Okay. Who's the heavier?
Okay, so
who's the heavyweight champion?
So No Tomorrow's actually got a really cool composition. I really love Gul'dan Leoric on the same team. I think Cassia inside of Entomb with her passive at level 1 just obliterates everybody there. They're trapped inside, the ball bouncing everywhere, the AoE, except there's a Tyrael.
Yep.
And that is where I go, Freedom has an objectively very strong composition as well. Very well rounded, accenting the map, a little worse in the wave clear department, which is important on Tomb. But the biggest thing is that a lot of what No Tomorrow is going for just sucks into Tyrael. Just like Leoric direct counter is Tyrael. Not only in lane because he can lane match up pretty well into him, but it's like, well, I entomb. And he's like, well, I'll jump over the wall and then I'll make everybody invulnerable. Beyond all the other factors, Cassia will get wrecked in that department. Her ball, I don't even know what happens when they become intargetable. Does it just disappear? Probably. And then... Did I not speak words?
You had a whole conversation with yourself on that.
I know. It's because it's like when there is no target, it disappears. So in theory, if I erase all the targets, it probably is going to disappear once again. And I don't know. I just, at first glance, I really feel like I thought I liked No Tomorrow's draft until I saw the Tyrael, and then I'm just like,
ooh,
and you broke the game.
Let's go into the game and see how Tyrael does for No Tomorrow. They need the victory, so it's good to hear that you approve of their draft.
I love it.
Yeah, regardless of the rest of the build, gotta be Sanctification this time.
I was gonna say, I take back every single thing I said if I see a judgment. I will, everything's gone. I'm all on the No Tomorrow hype train when it comes to the draft. If that is the case, they've got a lot of late game scaling, anti-mage, which should be decent.
We haven't even talked about combo with blinds.
Ooh, yeah, we haven't actually.
Ariel 13, Johanna base.
Who's on Tyrael this game? They have
Insomnia.
Insomnia's got a lot to do. And don't get me wrong, it's not as hard as it could be for a lot of Tyrael games where I'm like, you know, Tyrael's got to be pretty much a baller this match.
He's got to carry the backpack.
Yeah, most of the time when I say that, it's like really hard. But in this comp, it's not as difficult. Freedom, Tyrael is very, you know, there's not enough hard CC or instant burst on the other side to where he should not be able to get those things. You know, that's most of the time the thing that stops big Tyrael plays is hard CC, but there's not enough on the other side to where I really do feel like as long as Insomnia drops it early, they're going to be comfortable in this game. But again, these are very new players on the side of Team Freedom, and that experience and the pressure they're experiencing here in the series could be too much.
There is the possibility for No Tomorrow though to bait out Sank with Entomb and then capitalize right afterward with Horrify or Blessed Shield.
Yeah, no, there is. I generally feel like the Greymane and the Nazebo should be able to do so much damage in the meantime that it's at least an even fight then, right?
Yeah,
versus the damage. Cassie is a glass cannon here as we see her go 100-0 real quick.
First blood for Team Freedom as they are trying to clear out the waves, as we see with Tomb of the Spider Queen, trying to make sure that they can get the first turn-in of the game to snowball from there.
Wraithwalk has got to be one of the coolest animations in the entire game. Just watching that little stream out of his dead body and then just suddenly Skeleton Man appears on the other side. I'm sorry. Sometimes when I see that stuff, it's too cool.
I think that Drain Hope is also an awesome looking animation. The spooky hand.
The spooky hand, yeah.
Everything about Leoric, that he actually haunts you. Did you think about that? He haunts you when he dies.
That is a pretty cool idea, actually. And, you know, you don't even consider... Like, even, I know this is a rare word to say, but March of the Black Kings animation, considering, like, what he actually does in Diablo 3, the animation is really accurate. Like, that straight line just cleave, and if you touch it, you die.
And he heals every time he hits a hero with it.
Either way, for now, on Tomb of the Spider Queen, this Leoric and the rest of the members of No Tomorrow haven't been doing too much. It's been a lot of wave clear, a lot of focus onto the lane, which we expect it's Tomb of the Spider Queen. Even when it comes to gems, only 7 turned in here for Freedom.
Yeah, they're fairly even in gems. No Tomorrow did lose one person earlier on, but it is Erho who is holding on and picking up a lot of the gems. What this does is allow No Tomorrow to make sure that it's somebody tanky who has Iron Skin if she needs to run away, if she gets caught from some of the stuns, the roots that Team Freedom has. What makes things difficult is when Erho wants to try to turn in, you want your warrior to be able to zone people away, and Erho can't do that as much. There is Casanova, but he's stuck babying the bottom lane, being the guard for good.
The guard for good.
Evil, really, if it's Tyrael versus Leoric.
Yeah, that one, there is a pretty distinct good and bad side to that 1v1 down here. Also, another thing, when talking about the Tyrael matchup, we often know when Tyrael in 1v1s, he's not very good at actually winning them. He's just more of a placeholder, as you saw on bottom, but no kill to be had here. Just really what he does is, the reason why Tyrael is even remotely effective, ooh, those 26 turned in for No Tomorrow are going to be impactful, is just his AoE shielding on the minions helps his minions slowly win. Smite's okay, but it's more that he's never going to die, and he's got decent wave clear because, again, the shielding and the smite. Enough gems are available for a turn-in here for No Tomorrow.
Team Freedom has a lot of ways to stall turn-ins, so I'm surprised that those 23 went in, but Impale was maybe baited out by Tiger JK up above, but there are still, you know, there's Jars of Spiders, there's Moonfire with Ellune's Grace, so there should be a lot of ways for Team Freedom to stall out. They just need to make sure that they do a better job of it from here on out since Airho got all of his gems in.
Another one, like, weird thing to look at is the fact that Malf at level 1 went with the Scouting Drone over the Moonburn, so less emphasis into the laning phase, which, again, for North America, is an upward trending thing. The root, the knockup with Jason make it out good. Condemn getting the peels, and it looks like he will survive, but Casanova had to Wraith walk out.
Jason has picked a different level 4 talent. This is the one you see, I would say, more often, Ring of the Leech, because you get some self-sustain with it. You heal for 25% of the damage done to blinded targets. And again, there are a lot of blind possibilities, especially once Ariel hits level 13.
Yeah, and I was actually talking a lot about Cassia before this match when we were watching in the Expert Series from Europe with our Observer. And he was talking a lot about that level 4 talent and when he likes to take and everything. And I really agreed with his philosophy. And it was when you have a pairing of a blind, it goes from like a good to kind of great talent, right? It becomes a lot more effective.
That makes sense.
But when you only have one, it's like it all comes down to how realistic is it for you to blind the kill target and be able to get an effective rend or, you know, auto attacks at least onto that target. So I do like that, especially considering the Johanna here.
Poseidon's a good one to ask about Cassia.
He's a Cassia.
He loves his Cassia. Burrow charge, Trees gets out. First Web Weavers for Team Freedom. How much can they do with it?
Right now, they're doing pretty good. Just the fact that they have everybody busy here up a mid and it's not getting blown up right away. They drained out the entire front wall out of its ammo. So they'll be able to pick up this mid front wall eventually. Question is really how much value did top end up getting? Because bottom is going to be, it should be a loss past this point. There's no way that it gets a 4.
Towers are losing ammo, at least the bottom one. Top one, 2 out of ammo. And Tyrael's rotating up to take out the rest of the towers there in the mid lane. No Tomorrow doing their best to defend their final towers here. Don't want to give Team Freedom any more of an experience advantage that Freedom already have. They're getting closer and closer to having that lead of being able to maybe get heroics over No Tomorrow. So they want to staunch that as fast as possible.
Yeah, and if they can get that level 10 spike with a secondary turn-in, Team Freedom is going to just snowball this game to a point of possibly no control. It'll be a very, very rigid window for No Tomorrow in the later parts of the game, around 16.
It's all about gatekeeping from here on out for Team Freedom. Zugrug, using his Locust, can do quite a lot in the top. They have Tyrael checking out bottom 2. He offers a lot for delay, especially since Eldrin's counts for 2. They've done it. Team Freedom have stopped No Tomorrow from getting a turn-in, and now with heroic abilities, just about have enough for a second.
Yeah. Sadly, they didn't get enough side soak to double stack this. One thing you have to consider is, like, yes, though No Tomorrow is not 10 yet, you always got to consider how long it takes a map objective to spawn. Web Weavers is actually one of the longest objectives in the entire game. Also, shout out to that B-Step on bomb. But yeah, it is one of the longer objectives in the entire game. Not only when it spawns, but when it gets effective, it needs to build up, usually even a rotation of casts. And so that window will, even if this turn-in happened instantly for Freedom, No Tomorrow always had this window of 10. So they pick it up. Not going to see Resurrection, but we will see Valkyrie with the Entomb of Leoric. So we're going to see the one-stop shop Entomb. Wraith walk it out. Are we going to see it? Oh, man, I wanted to see it right there. How the interaction between those two work.
We may just yet at the turn of this game with Web Weavers barreling down the lanes toward No Tomorrow's base. Speaking of barreling down, Burrow charge from Zugrug does not, again, catch anybody from No Tomorrow, but that cocoon will. Jason stuck inside of this cocoon. How do No Tomorrow bust him out of here? With an Entomb, collusion on the other side. Valkyrie pulls in, Sanctification at the same time, Twilight Dream 2, and Casanova getting obliterated in the fight, but staying alive, and that is so important with 34 gems on his body.
And more importantly here for Freedom is the fact that they have just kept everyone of No Tomorrow busy up here in the northern lane, allowing those Web Weavers not only in mid to be effective, but more importantly that on bottom. They are going to be opening up what is going to be a triple fort play, I believe, because ideally what they should do now is somebody's going to respond to bottom, and with that downtime, they take out the top fort. And in fact, that is going to be their transition. So, huge plays coming out from Freedom here, now securing a level lead and 3-4 advantage. They're going to back out. Real? Leoric hasn't shown technically, so that actually was a safe call. He was rotating back to take that fight.
So, Dread, we saw the first installation of Entomb Valkyrie. Not quite all in a line. Entomb was
Kitty Wampus.
Yeah, Kitty Wampus is perfect way of describing that. And then after that, oh, hold on. Again with a cocoon.
The zombie wall, a lot of damage. The curse bullet goes in. Insomnia there will not be the finisher. Big heals coming out from Tiger JK over the wall. Aegis 54 seconds away. Good detainment strike onto Nasmus.
Yeah, they've caught Nasmus in a bad spot. Valkyrie tried to pull him back over, but no such luck. Casanova comes in from the side. Nasmus not making it out. No Tomorrow claims their first life.
They do, and they get the Entomb as well. Insomnia very low on mana, not enough for a Q, and they get a second pick here. A lot of the gems on the ground, only 5. Ooh, another rotation picked up there for Zugrug. So not all is lost, but a Webweaver rotation now for No Tomorrow.
And No Tomorrow trying to clear out the lands as fast as they can, prepping to get the Webweavers all the way up to the gates as soon as they spawn, at least here in the mid lane. Top lane is in a good, favorable spawn place too. It's only bottom that Casanova is trying to help up Prime up as fast as he can.
Referring to the question you asked before that I didn't totally get to answer. You were talking about the first time that we saw the combo. Honestly, I feel like the combo is going to be really hard to run. I don't view that as never once have I looked at those two and be like, yeah, that synergy. Like, I can see the argument, but it doesn't, I don't know. We'll see as it goes on. I wasn't impressed with it the first time. The one thing I did note out of that team fight, when we were talking about sanctification timing, I said open with it, right? They dropped a cocoon and they still ate not only a 4-man Horrify, but a lot of heroics before Sanct came out. I feel like you should be negating those rather than responding to them.
There's going to be Valkyrie and Ice Block to stop it from Damesky.
Nice
but it
outplay.
does at least make that be used in that regard, and there are still some heroics left. We have Horrify still for No Tomorrow and Blessed Shield. If Arrow can pull out Team Freedom far enough, he may turn this around with a Blessed Shield. He'll have to because there's Cocoon.
There's the Cocoon, the zombie wall follow up once more. A lot of damage going on to Zugrug. He dodges with the Wraith Walk away, actually, Casanova, but everybody of No Tomorrow falling so very low. They go in with the Eldruins. They get the first pick. The Horrify splits away Insomnia.
47 gems. 47 gems. Arrow's holding them. Zugrug's going for it, and they take him out.
They need his zones. Casanova can get those. He doesn't move up because he's got 55. He's afraid to venture out there. That would have been 100 on top of Ghostman Skeleton King Leoric. 70 gems still exist here in the bank of No Tomorrow, but 47 for Freedom. They still have a half-level lead. They're a ways away from a Talontier advantage. So we have still an even game, but No Tomorrow, talking about the rigid window earlier. It's a little more open than I expected. They have a lot more breathing room, only being a half level behind between that double turn-in and level 10 advantage we saw earlier in this game.
Yeah, I think that it's a bit of an illusion that No Tomorrow is as close to Team Freedom as they are. They only have 80 gems, and they have one less turn-in than Team Freedom. Team Freedom is working toward their third turn-in, of which there's only one fort remaining to defend against, and then they can take down keeps. And that gets Team Freedom some keep towers up to 16 and more of a window. So No Tomorrow has to use this time carefully.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. Like, unlike most maps, I would say the 3 maps that are deceiving on how far ahead or behind are you, Cursed Hollow, Tomb of the Spider Queen, and Infernal Shrines,
yes,
are all so easy to think you're in a game, but you are just flat out not. Entomb missing there for Casanova. Another thing we have to talk about when looking at these comps is Casanova, between Nasmus there on Greymane and Dansky post 16, they can force Wraithwalk ending so fast. Like, I'm talking half a second level quick, especially if Cursed Bullet is up. The minute he drops that, he has to Wraithwalk out. They can get this delay, they do.
Delays happened again. Team Freedom chasing No Tomorrow down. Blue Webweavers descending, and No Tomorrow again are going to have to fight and defend while holding so many gems, way more gems than they would like. This is a big turning point for Team Freedom in the game.
It is an absolutely huge one. How much bleeding can No Tomorrow stop? I don't know yet, honestly. I feel like this is going to be a key play here for Freedom, and if not, it's very, very close, especially if they get that 16 with a big enough window to force a fight here on mid. We'll see. Either way, Tyrael's still up on top, dealing with the fort for now. He will be able to rid of that. Now looking to transition towards mid. What happens? How hard is Freedom going to try and force this fight? Or are they just going to buy time for bottom and mid Webweaver?
So far, there has not been an opportunity to go underneath the gate, but that changes now. Webweaver steps in. Cocoon's been used. It's deep into the lines of No Tomorrow, and with Airho zoning away, there's no possibility to punish No Tomorrow for getting caught there.
Now rotating to be able to match the top Webweaver. Leoric has still shown himself on bottom. And this is going to be it. That's the end of the Webweaver phase. Not a single keep to be had here for Team Freedom.
Freedom gets a level lead and take down keep towers. They open up this top keep for a possible boss later on. They did not get a keep though, and No Tomorrow now have 16 to try to fight.
They have totally kept themselves into this game, especially, again, as you said, it didn't seem like they would be able to based on the fact that everything was open, but with such a lackluster laning phase or Webweaver phase out of Team Freedom, you know, I'm going to be honest, I feel like a lot of that came out to Insomnia. After he rotated mid, there was multiple moments where Johanna just casually walked out and no holy ground even attempted, not even threatened to be like, hey, you know, you want to be stuck out here with us, hang out with us a little bit, try and force their 16. It was a very, we're just going to keep them busy, but then even then, they weren't keeping them busy, they were just standing on the map.
Well, that might change because Iron Skin was used, although Casanova's caught Dansky. He has to Wraith Walk out, took a lot of damage. Holy Ground tried to keep him in the fight.
So the one thing, oh man, actually the Cocoon's gonna be dropped along with the Horrify. Roots doesn't land on anybody. Good job using the heal to be able to break out Jason, but can he make it out? The Burrow draws an Aegis. Will he make it after the burst? He will not. Valkyrie drops Collusion right into his Saints. He says thank you. And they walk away with 22 gems still in their hands. 106 for No Tomorrow.
They'll have to wait again 30 seconds before they could try, giving Team Freedom more time to pick up gems and more time to control these lanes and get closer to their Storm talents. Tiger JK has always had a lot of energy to heal people up outside of the Crystal Aegis. It's just a matter of trying to keep them alive through the burst that Team Freedom has in this late game between Executioner, Twilight Dream 2. Casanova has to get out of here. He's not going to get out of here.
No, he's not. And that is 77 gems. Luckily, one went over the wall, so there's going to be 20 for free. But all the rest of the gems, Gonzo with Leoric down. I think that's a perfect example of talking about, you know, the Leoric into a Greymane Nazebo. Especially now that 16's online, because one thing a lot of people don't realize is how the spiders are coded in the game works on how fast the rate at which the target is moving. Wraithwalk keeps them in position, which then increases the damage output that they have, which then increases the rate at which they come back. So suddenly Nazebo just like sees a Wraithwalk, he just throws out a Q, chunks him to half health for free, and then goes, my Q's back. Like, it costs them nothing. Then Greymane Curse Bullet,
yes.
And that burst, he used to be the answer to that, to a Leoric, right?
You got to see Curse Bullet right there on Airho, how much it does. So you
Good
want to
jump.
use it on the full health warriors because it's 40% of your current health.
You want to open with it. Either way, there's a flank for No Tomorrow here. Down below onto this turn-in as a couple members are going to start. Holy Ground is splitting. Cocoon already going to be dropped. Urho falling so very low. Holy Ground is going to get the split. Wraithwalk out is going to be Casanova, but he is already down. Talking Trees takes the Aegis. Sanctification drop and negates the Twilight Dream. They get the pick, and they are going for blood. Everything crumbling here for No Tomorrow.
Oh, Valkyrie pulled in Zugrug, but No Tomorrow couldn't even get that kill. No Tomorrow was spread out so far across the lines of battle in that turn-in point. And Team Freedom take out all 5 members, wiping No Tomorrow. Getting closer and closer to the turn-in that may seal the fate of No Tomorrow in Game 2.
Dansky, the Ginger Dread Nazebo. The skin that was built for me, but I hate it so very much. It's creepy. Either way, we're taking another look at this fight. And the biggest thing is the Holy Ground split that we see in Dansky's flank up there. Is so much damage.
The zombie wall then making a Crystal Aegis be used. And again, everyone was so spread out from No Tomorrow. You had Chasing Clear on the left side with Ariel and Gul'dan on the other. And they were so split, Tiger JK had a hard time being able to keep everybody up. It did feel panicked from No Tomorrow in that. They were trying to fight before Team Freedom got to 20 and got another turn-in, which is now here, as well as a boss.
Can No Tomorrow defend, or will Freedom, in fact, be able to even out the series here? It looks like we might find out, as you said, with a boss Webweavers pushing in, Holy Ground splitting. Casanova ate a Cursed Bullet, and he is already pretty much out of this fight, at least for now. They're sieging up.
These Holy Grounds have been awesome because it controls No Tomorrow to walk through the choke to try to defend versus this boss. And is possible for Zugrug to dive in underneath, Burrow charging in. Insomnia looking to try to separate someone out, hasn't yet. Entomb to separate on their own. Sanctification used fairly early on in this. The boss is nearly down.
They can't.
Cocoon is hit. Boss stun hits everybody from No Tomorrow. Johanna is out, so is Cassia.
The huge four-man Horrify does end up landing, but the shielding on the core is already too very low as it is going down 50% and more. That is going to be it. Team Freedom evens out the series 1-1 on Tomb.
Team Freedom fighting back for their lives in HGC.
They are. And putting up a good showing. But a lot of that, I mean, I can't iterate it enough. I feel like a lot of it was a draft on the side of No Tomorrow. You could see the thought processes, especially with the ban, you know, and maybe I'm not giving Team Freedom enough credit because you talked about the Murden ban. Opening with the Murden ban and what that means for the rest of the draft of No Tomorrow. They committed with the Johanna in the same style of composition, but it just felt so heavy to Freedom in a lot of ways, even with not, like in my opinion, there weren't too many major sanctifications. Tyrael really wasn't even needed for his heroic even.
What I want to know is what that means for the rest of the series for No Tomorrow. If Team Freedom keeps this up, can No Tomorrow, they have to know that that's a possible ban.
That's what I think so, yeah. You know, it's got to, I don't know. It's going to be weird. We're going to find out either way moving forward. But we have got ourselves what could be a very interesting, you know, as we talk about the inner meta strategies. Either way, apparently that's the end of it. We'll come back to you guys.